Well, another year, another Game of Thrones season comes to a wrap. But I'm going to talk about season 5 of Game of Thrones. That's a spoiler alert, you have been warned. And by season 5 of Game of Thrones, I mean some things in season 5 of Game of Thrones, more or less dealing with the end of season 5 of Game of Thrones. There's so much to talk about in a season of Game of Thrones, I'm not going to touch on it all. I'm just not. I'm just going to start out negative. I mean it in no negative way, but as this season was going on, it was my least favorite Game of Thrones season. That's not to say it's a shit Game of Thrones season, I'm just saying it's my least favorite Game of Thrones season. It's like pick your least favorite Ninja Turtle. Leonardo, of course. Why would I pick anyone else? It's not to say Leonardo sucks, I'm just saying he's my least favorite Ninja Turtle. That and Venus de Milo. She never existed though, so it's Leonardo. But Game of Thrones has always been the long game. I was like, I'll stick with it, we'll see where this is going. Then we got a sweet ass siege in the third to the last episode of Game of Thrones season 5. That north of the wall shit, oh my god, that was intense. It was like Helm's Deep stuff, man. It was like cinematic quality. You see the 4 horsemen all up there, it was really big. You're like, these guys are the Harbingers, they're the Doombringers, and they're here. Then Arthas fucking raises an undead zombie ice army from World of Warcraft. That's what that was, by the way. But Jon Snow has bigger problems. So many things happen with Daenerys Targaryen. I was really looking forward to Tyrion going over and counseling her, and he does for a day, and then she hops on the dragon and leaves, which led to one man in the show reaching the most important conclusion of his life ever. This dude was like, I am never gonna hit that. I will say season 5 was the most polarizing. For those of you who were not on Twitter at all the week after that episode aired, on Sansa Stark's wedding night, she was raped by shithead Bolton. Same guy who cut Theon's dick off. So the guy's pretty much no prize. I'm not gonna lie, that scene was super hard to watch and you just want to turn away. People took to Twitter, man. They were like, I'm done with Game of Thrones. No one gave a shit that the women in Craster's Keep got raped. No one gave a shit that Joffrey Baratheon made those 2 hookers brutalize themselves, probably sexually. They're hookers, so no one cares, says Ted Bundy. Daenerys Targaryen raped on her wedding night. No one gave a shit. It was literally the same scenario, but just no one cared yet. Guess it's different when you're a little girl sold to another guy by your own brother. I don't know. Theon Greyjoy got his fucking dick cut off. No one cared. Little girl gets burned alive by her father's order. So we've established really bad things happen to really good people in this show this season, as always, because that's pretty much what happens in Westeros. Sansa Stark on her wedding night. Horrible, horrible thing. Yes, I imagine that scene was for Reek, because he's gonna save her ass later, because he'll be like, I don't want to see her go through that shit too much. And he does that. He throws that fucking bitch over the thing. She was a shithead too. She deserved to die. Moving on to other shit, Stannis Baratheon, things are looking bad. At first it's like, yay, the snow's melting. It's like, yes, sir. Half the people left anyway. And so the Red Woman leaves. Stannis Baratheon is like, we're marching on Winterfell. And then you just see the formation of the horses come around. You're like, I think you're gonna die today, dude. Sure enough, it was pretty much a slaughter. Although Brienne of Tarth comes up and she's like, I was protecting your brother Renly and you had him killed. Admit it. He's like, yeah, I did. And she's like, okay. By order of you being a dick, you're dead. Whack! And she kills him. But the rule is, I'm not saying he's alive. I am saying there is a rule I kind of live by in shows and movies. And that is if you don't see them die, you don't know that they're dead. Because he said, do your duty. And I'm sure she's gonna be like, I am gonna do my duty. I'm gonna help Sansa Stark and you're going to help me do that. Thus, by helping me, you will find atonement in killing your brother. I can see that shit happening. That or he's just dead. I think the Lions are going to war with the Vipers, though. Gonna be honest on that one. That Jaime Lannister's daughter was like, I know you're my dad, and I'm glad. And they embrace, and then she dies because she was poisoned. There's just no coming back from that shit. Or maybe they won't. Maybe, like, politically, it's just, they're going to get away with it. I could see that happening in a world of shitheads like Westeros. My god, that Cersei Lannister walk of shame. Oh, that shit was super uncomfortable. That was bad. Like, people are throwing shit and piss on her. Cersei Lannister's no ray of sunshine. It's not like you had warm feelings for the woman. She deserves to have horrific things happen to her, but it was just so classless that you're like, yeah, but not like that. Tone it back, man. Just, I don't know, execute her. Make it quick. I'm all about the quick deaths in my kingdom. That shit was just horrid to watch, and then she gets back, and the one exiled Grand Maester dude's like, oh, we're gonna clean you up, by the way. Here's Franken Robo-Hitler, or whatever the hell they made the mountain into. Speaking of people who aren't dead, he ain't dead. Guys, it's like this. This is why I think Jon Snow is alive. I read the first book, and this theory is as plain as day in the first book. The thing is, who is Jon Snow's mother? Who is she? And I'm gonna keep it super vague for people who haven't read the books, because the theory is kind of like a cool thing to reach your own conclusion when you're reading it. You're like, oh my god. I see so clearly. More or less, it's who is Jon Snow's mother. And it matters. It's like who his parents are completely fucking matter. So are we really to believe Jon Snow is dead when that theory is so fucking important to people? Is the theory really who's the dead guy's parents? Oh, it might be this dead chick and that dead dude. The whole thing ends because it's like dead person and dead person made dead person? No, if the theory's still out there and important, and apparently important to George R.R. Martin, then that means Jon Snow is still alive, because if he's dead, the theory just doesn't matter at all. Plus, the Red Woman's there, and she's gonna do that prayer over him and be like, oh, Lord of Light, bring him back to life, and then he's gonna come back to life. Or someone will. We've seen that happen. That one dude who got cleaved and he got brought back is like, oh, I've gotten brought back a shit tillion times. Jon Snow's just gonna have a bunch of stab wounds, but he's gonna look pretty sweet because chicks dig scars. So yeah, he ain't dead. That one pedophile piece of shit that Arya sliced up, he's dead. Jon Snow, not dead. All right, guys, so Game of Thrones Season 5, have you seen it? What did you think about this season compared to the other seasons? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.